apologizing for not putting this video out on the schedule, which I had promised, so I'm going to ask for apologies on that. I've been getting into these Minecraft videos lately, and, you know, I have a lot of fun playing multiple different games, so sometimes I get a little sidetracked when I get busy doing stuff. Permission from all of the developers of the mods to throw them together and maybe hopefully one day have a server. So the first thing I'm going to do here in this video is actually establish my power supply here correctly. As you can see now, the inserter is automatically putting the copper into the forge, and it's going to smelt all of these copper ingots or copper ore that we're harvesting from the ground. The amount of coal which is in the furnace, or wood, whichever you decide to use as a fuel source. Get my iron automated as well as running my coal belt down into my rewatching this footage again. I've decided I'm going to try to save some time in my videos. Editing, like some of the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear some forest north and provide a room for me to be able to run an electrical grid to the coal, as well as running the coal down into the foundry area here. So I'm going to jump into editing to that spot where I can do a little bit more explaining on everything that's set up here, and I'll see you then. Alright, so we're back, and as you can see, I've got my first coal miner set up, and I've run a treadmill down through the forest. I've also taken the time to clear out that copper field, so that way we're able to build more mining machines on it as needed. One thing that's important in this game is it's generally better to have in abundance rather than to be waiting while you're trying to expand and everything like that, especially in this regular themed map. The real worlds you can take a little bit more time. It's really excellent for learning. You know, if you're like me, kind of do things leisurely, maybe a little more casual style to try to learn, you know, figure out what you're interested in. And yeah, so you can see here the giant web of telephone poles that I'm going to need in order to get my entire foundry running. And there's no way with the size that they are to really set these up in a very organized pattern. You just need so many the small poles to get everything going, which isn't too bad. There's probably a more efficient configuration I could have used as far as making the area look neater and more pleasing, but I can cram 2 or 3 extra foundries in there using this setup. So I wanted to try to conserve as much space as possible, even though it's not quite as resource effective, because I need to have more poles and more machines and everything, but ultimately the production value is higher. So what we're going to do is just cram in a whole ton over here, and in a later video, probably, I don't think I'm going to get to that one today. What we're going to wind up doing is reconfiguring this entire first foundry area into a larger grid. This is just where I decided to get started because everything was right there, but as I start with automation and all of those things for my science research, I start to run out of room, and I realized that I could have planned out my layout a little bit better. So when I begin to upgrade to iron smelting, as well as, or not iron, excuse me, steel foundries, I realized that I need more iron production, and I rearranged everything. It's really nice the way it worked out in the end, so I'm not going to complain about it. And I'll be right back as soon as I find some more footage where you can see everything is expanding. Yeah, at the moment I'm building my first research lab actually, so I'm gonna hold off on that. And yeah, see right here, if we take the time to look at this is the technology tree research screen, where you can see everything that's going on in the game, and this will give you a good overview of how you want to try to progress your technology as you go, and it gives you valuable insight towards what you should be considering. You need a lot of you need to have a lot of oil in order to succeed, in order to actually finish a game. I mean, if you want to just endlessly play, there's nothing wrong with building a factory that's the size of your hard drive, I guess, but there is an end game, a goal, as I said in the first video, to launch the rocket. So if that's what your primary interest is, what you really want to do is just kind of look for the things that you need in order to produce a rocket, and then just kind of reverse engineer a research path, which will most quickly lead you to it. But like I said earlier, my goal is kind of casually playing and building, testing things out, seeing things, how they work. And one thing that I saw that was really cool was this guy posted on the Steam in the community on the forums that he made an interactive Pac-Man circuit network. And you guys could please check that out. It's really awesome, and I wish that my electrical engineering skills were that competent. I know how to do some basic things with this, and I've learned a little bit about circuits and stuff like that from playing Minecraft, and nothing like Pac-Man though. I'm gonna check out that guy's video myself, and I'm going to learn a little bit more about circuit board engineering and stuff like that, because it's really fun the way the guy set it up. You control a Pac-Man that runs around on a giant grid. He powered with nuclear reactors, and it completely blew me for a loop when I saw it. So I think that some of you guys will be impressed as well. So yeah, now what I'm doing actually with my research, you can see I'm building these red research potions, which is what I need. Those are research pack 1, and that will get your starting research going for every tree essentially throughout the rest of the game, and you're going to need the red potions for every research that you do into the future, mostly. So it's really important that you get these automated as soon as possible, because eventually the bugs, which we'll get to in the not too distant future here, and they will come at you, and they'll eat everything that you have if you don't quickly get everything going. And if you don't want to spend time standing here building like I am at the moment, then you're gonna have to get everything automated, so that way you can focus your efforts into other things. So these little red inserters that were just highlighted on the other tab, you can see if you play the game for yourself, they're called long arm inserters, which is what this secondary belt is running next to my iron belt at the moment. And they just have more range than the default inserters, and what that will do is allow me to draw the iron from the foundry and drop it over top of the first belt and run them onto the second belt. Oh yeah, and this here, what I've done is just build a chest and put some, I didn't even see what I had in the chest. I think it was just a pile of wood or something. That's the only way that you can actually delete items in the game. As of right now, they don't have a trash bin or anything like that in your inventory that you can just delete. So if you want to get rid of obsolete items, what you want to do is just throw them in a bin and blow it up. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to cover that's kind of important at the moment? I think just the inserters. I don't know what I'm waiting for on that, why I haven't put them in yet. But the machines will continue to produce until the foundry is full. I think that the stack limit is 100, maybe it's 150. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I'm not too worried about it at the time being. Actually, what I think I was doing was kind of testing my sound level to make sure that the audio wasn't too loud and playing over my voice. And I'm doing the logistics research, which is important actually, because if you can see where that first belt is stopped underneath or in front of that first pole right there, I can actually create these really cool underground treadmills, which will allow them to go under the pole. They'll have a spacing of a maximum of 5, which is a little bit limiting when it comes to things, because I've played some mods where they have belts that are a length of 10 or 20 and then a length of up to 50. So I think it goes the default to 5 and then a belt of 20 and then a belt of 50, I think. And they increase in resource cost as well. But it saves a lot of room in your factory, and you don't have to worry too much about placement. But I think that the goal that the developers here are going for is to make your factory placement really important. Okay, so this object that I'm holding right now in my hand is actually a assembling machine, and essentially they act as automated factories, which I'm going to be, you'll see very soon. I'm going to be drawing the iron that I'm going to be placing onto the line there with the long arm inserters into these factories or assembly machines, and they're going to be creating items on their own. All of the items by default aren't really very smart, but as I've said in the previous video, you can add logic circuits as well as electronic circuits and what are they? They're just circuits. So a circuit network, and that adds all kinds of more interactive, intelligent functionality to your factory building scheme. And it really helps to have things with some kind of control, so that way you can make everything operate more efficiently. One thing that I've done, which is really the most basic and simple thing that you can do, probably, like I said earlier, I'm not always the brightest bulb in the box, I guess, but yeah, my personal programming and, I don't know, circuitry knowledge isn't the most vast in the world, so unfortunately, without doing a lot of experimenting and learning, what I'm capable of doing is really limited. I can't make a Pac-Man game, unfortunately. It'd be a lot of fun, but I could show you guys how to set up trains, get those automated, make loading and unloading your stations smart, and a lot of other useful things that aren't overly complicated to establish. Right, and right now I'm considering what I'm going to research. Okay, these electronics are very important because everything else in the game from this point on is essentially dependent on this. All of these red research basically are just unlocking the first tier where you're going to be able to branch out into wherever you want later. One thing I recommend, though, is as soon as possible, what you want to do is go for oil, especially if you're not playing on a rail map, because the monsters, I've noticed not too far down on my other footage reels that I have, they quickly rebuild and start attacking your stuff. It's a lot more hostile environment than I was playing on the Rail World map, where I could kind of casually look at everything and leisurely expand, where I felt you're just on the Rail World more or less limited towards your expansion on how can I describe this, make sense of it? Your technology ultimately is going to be your limiting factor when it comes towards expanding. When you're playing on these default map types with the combat environment established the way it is, you're going to really be super dependent on having a lot of turrets and ammunition. So you want to get as many magazines, you want to build walls up as quick as possible, you want to get your area secure. So the core difference, I suppose, is that when you're playing on a real world map, the monsters, the bugs in the game won't expand themselves very much. They'll expand some, but they won't rebuild where you've already cleared off. So what you want to do is learn how to build rockets as fast as you can, because they have a little bit more range, they do explosive damage, and they're really good at taking out the larger worms. And they're essentially the biters. The monsters are called the biters. They're essentially the biters' artillery. So in order to get close to them and take them out, I'll show you some techniques for doing that. But for the moment, we're out of time for this video. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the internet. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. If you feel like I'm doing well, leave some feedback. Let me know what you don't like. And thanks for watching. This is Mick Stardust, and I'll see you next time.